Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the Eye Opener Society. I'm so glad you can join us, and so happy for all the listeners out there. I don't know how to really thank you other than to say thank you. It's been really great. It's been difficult for me because, again, I don't have my co-host with me, Hannah. It's going to be a while before she's able to come back on the show, and so it's been difficult to sit here and try and do a podcast talking to myself again like I used to. So I've been trying new things and, doing quickie podcasts. I'm going to start probably doing those on the regular platform, doing like 10-minute shows for everybody with some sort of theme or topic. But I've had the support of Ann Lund. She done an episode with me as a co-host. I'm going to have Elaine from Arcane Oracle doing a podcast with me as a co-host. And then hopefully I could do Sunset Child. The only problem I have with Sunset Child is the fact that her and I are so much alike and there's so many thoughts going on in our head. If we sat and recorded, we will probably record an entire 3-week episode. So we got to kind of get it shortened down to 20 minutes. So what I have in store for tonight, I have another guest co-host. And if you've listened to the show long enough, we did an episode with Tea Leaf Readings in the Valley. And the owner is Jen, and she's really great. I really love her energy, and her show still gets a lot of listens, especially on YouTube. And that's great because that's what I wanted on the first episode. But I did a quickie podcast on our social media Facebook page, and it was about being spiritual, supporting people, but you can still say no. And Jen kind of commented and she says, maybe you should do a show about this. I said, maybe I should. And maybe you should be a guest on that show. So here she is, the wonderful Jen from Tea Leaf Readings in the Valley. I want to welcome back to the show, Jen. Jen, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good. So that word no, it's a pretty small word, but it has like a really big meaning,
Hmm.
right? I mean, I know from just being around in the spiritual community, you hear people say it's a negative thing, like it has like some negative connotation that you shouldn't be able to say no. You should just go with the flow and say yes to everything. And that's just sometimes really not a good thing because it doesn't align with who you are, with your morals, your values, your energy. I mean, sometimes the things that people think are okay for them are not okay for you. And it's okay to say no. And a lot of people in the spiritual community I know um sometimes probably feel guilted into saying yes about some things like, yeah, sure, why not? And it's
Yeah. And when I did that quickie podcast, and again, I appreciate you putting, your comment in there and wanting to talk more about this, because then it opens up conversation. I certainly, when I did that quickie, it was what I had in the back of my mind at that time. There's a few people I know that work in the spiritual community and they do like Reiki healing and stuff like that. And they always say, here's your schedule. We'll set you up with an appointment. And they say, if I call you to cancel because I wouldn't be in the right frame of mind or something, and you call me if you're not in the right frame of mind. These are people that I trust more because you need to put a lot of physical, spiritual energy into this. And if you're slightly off, that's bad for your client that's coming in. So those are the people I respect because yes, you can say no, and there's nothing wrong with that. And I'm glad you picked up on that, meaning and the thoughts behind that. So like you listened to that, what came to your mind first?
Oh, my brain, it just went into like a million. First off, like, the word no, I mean, as a woman, when you say no, sometimes people will think that you're lazy, you're mean, you're incompetent, um, that you're just the Debbie Downer of anything that goes. In the spiritual aspect, when I hear no, I'm like, okay, that's a boundary that I'm not going to cross because they're not comfortable. But when you say it as like a reader, people assume they have this misconception that readers and healers are the same thing. That's not true. You
Right.
can be a reader and just read and have your messed up life over there and still be able to help people with advice. Healers, they're on a whole other level, like able to help. So I know that a lot of people when you say no to something that someone really wants done, they can kind of be aggressive. And I think a lot of people want to avoid the conflict. They don't want to be criticized. They don't want to be rejected. And I think a lot of spiritual people think that if they say no about something, that they're going to get a lot of pushback and they're going to have people saying things that maybe aren't true or are true and but in a really negative way, and it makes them look not so good.
Right. And I think too, even beyond healers and readers and all, a lot of time people are going to have problems or issues that they want to bring to you. And sometimes just being open and spiritual, you'll feel that and you don't want that energy around you. And in a kind way, you just say, I cannot help you, or I don't feel like being in the middle of that or given any kind of advice because you feel that that negative energy may create negative energy within yourself. So it's not bad to turn somebody away in a decent, kind way. Saying, listen,
Right.
I understand your issues. I understand what's going on. I would love to help you. But the way I feel about the situation, I might add more negativity to it than what you think. And so that's why I even said it's fine to walk away from something like that.
Yeah, honestly, just personally, like there's been times that I feel that maybe I should have said, I really don't know, and I know I can't really help you with this. Maybe think about it and talk to someone that you trust. And then there's been times I've, you know, I've gone on maybe a little too far and maybe said or given advice that, you know, this was not good. It wasn't good
Hmm.
advice because I felt pressured into it. And I feel like a lot of people, especially like just myself, I sometimes want to be a people pleaser because I, I've had
You are.
had times where I'm not, you know, feeling the best. So I feel
Hmm.
like, if I'm people pleasing, maybe I'll get something out of it, just, a feel good. But that's not good on my part because it's not protecting my energy. It's not protecting my essence. It's giving bad juju onto them, bad essence, bad energy, and then they're taking it and going with that, and it cycle, not a good thing. So
Hmm.
no is just a perfect sometimes answer for, certain things. Um, but like have you ever thought about like social expectations? People want uh like a reason as to why you're saying no.
Yes, definitely experienced that. It all comes into play, I think, because as a society, we've learned things and we've learned them incorrectly. No one's making that correction. No one is saying no. Everybody is pleasing everybody. And so that's why you get it. And then these people want a reason. Oh, you're not doing it, but why? So yeah, it's like I don't feel I need to give a very detailed answer on that. A lot of times I just say it's just not the right time. That's all. It's as simple as that. It's not the right time. I can't do this right now. And that should be the only reason why. That's the only reason you should be able to give them. While back when I was doing the meditation business, the other problem was everybody wanted instantaneous results. And when I said, I cannot work with you because you are expecting something that I cannot give you. And that's when I had to say no. And that was my reasoning. If you're expecting something that I cannot provide, I am not going to work with you. And I laid that out Ground rules. And unfortunately, almost 99% of the population wants the instantaneous results. They can't fathom the fact that, hey, you're providing me with research. You should be able to do this. It's not. This is a training, almost. This is a lifelong lesson. I could get you in the right direction. But that's what happens. And at the same time, yes, I have to say no for that. And now you, Jen, and just so the audience remembers too, tell us again about you, Tea Leaf Readings in the Valley. Give a little, go ahead, promote yourself.
Um, so tea leaf readings in the valley. So obviously I do readings, tea readings, egg readings, wax readings. I do egg cleanses, but there's a caveat with that. Like I sit down and I talk to you about why you want the cleansing because a lot of people have come and have asked for and like you said, instant results. They want instant results, and that's not something that happens instantly with a cleansing. But sometimes they might need something more like Western type of medicine, a therapist, a counselor. So I really try to figure out why they want the cleanse.
Hmm.
So there's that. I do bone jewelry. I do candles, which I really love making my candles. They're definitely a work of art. And they're very time consuming and I put love into them when I do them. I enjoy doing that. Um, I don't know. I also started doing lights recently. Like,
Incredible, great.
yeah, actually this one actually sold recently, but it's pretty cool.
Wow.
Turn it on,
Whoa,
bam.
that
Yeah,
is amazing.
crystals. Yeah. So there's that.
And
And that was,
you can
huh?
find all this on Facebook, on Facebook, right? As far as
Yeah.
you find your
I,
tea leaf readings in the valley. Don't forget that tea leaf readings in the valley. Find Jen on Facebook, and you'll have a lot of your stuff posted up there too, and where people can find you and all.
yes, I do. I do have that stuff. Yeah. I've had some interesting interactions with posting that stuff recently. Scammers.
No,
Gotta
well,
love
yeah,
it.
we're all victims of that.
It's been funny though. I actually know somebody that will put they'll be getting scammed on Facebook and they'll be like beefy. That's all they'll just keep writing to this person and I'm just like, that's funny. That's great. I should start coming up with a little saying like that. Maybe
Yeah.
not beefy, but something.
Right. Yeah, but definitely for those that are not spamming, please visit Tea Leaf Readings in the Valley. Visit Jen's Facebook page. And you work a little bit differently. You're not working out of a shop or anything. You go to different events and all.
I do go to different events, and I actually have started doing readings at my home. I'm still working towards getting that building. I have a building in the front actually on my property that it's really nice. It's an old school barn. But trying to fix that building is going to be it might be the death of me.
Yeah, I hear you. So then definitely people to help Jen out to get that shop.
Yeah.
Go visit her at Tea Leaf Readings in the Valley and purchase some of her stuff because I've seen it all. And I visited her at one event and I've seen some stuff and her and I really connected and yeah, definitely try it out. She's got some really beautiful, especially the candles. I do absolutely adore them. Really, I do.
Yeah, I love doing them.
Yeah.
So
And I always found the tea leaf readings themselves as really interesting too as well. I know a lot of times you post stuff on Facebook and you ask people, what do you see? Which is always challenging because intuition comes to people in so many different ways. And what one person sees, somebody else don't. And then there's a way to interpret them and all. So I always found that interesting.
it's like looking at clouds. Um, I do tell people when I'm giving them a tea reading, and I do show them like the symbols, and I tell them what they mean individually, and then I tell them what they mean together. And if they see anything that pops out to them, that has really big significance. So if I'm giving you like a tea reading and you say you see a flower, um, that really has a big significance just to you, like you, because you saw that, like it really popped out. So I try to give them the symbol, like that information on that symbol. And if I see something different, I tell them what I think that is as well. And I say, if you're really feeling this and if it really popped out to you, then we're going to go with that. And then you should really keep an eye out for, X, Y, and Z. So,
Interesting.
and
Yeah.
it
It's
draws them in to
it does. And I
participating in
like
their
that.
fantasy reading.
hmm
So,
Yeah, so go back. I know you got some older posts and, people could go check it out on Facebook, Tea Leaf Readings in the
mhm.
Valley, look at some of the actual tea leaves and see what you see. And that's, and if it's something that interests you, get a reading from Jen. It's all there. In this community, I think a lot has to do with this particular episode as far as the topic, as far as saying no, because there's sometimes expectations. I believe in that. People want to see something and they're going to see something else and they're going to see you, sometimes as giving them wrong information, but it's interpretation. It really is.
It is interpretation. Also, nothing's set in stone. Things change. Sometimes, just knowing something from your cup, I mean, could change everything around into a different direction for you. But it is nice to just talk. Sometimes people just need that actually too. I mean, just to, you know, when they're done doing, like, when I'm done reading their leaves, they just want to talk about the situations that are going on in their life. And sometimes just sitting there and listening and, being just reassuring is a good thing. Not that I'm like a therapist or a counselor. I'm definitely not trained in that, but sometimes the best conversations you'll have with somebody is someone that you don't really know
Mhm.
very well at all. They have nothing in, nothing at stake with your life. So just talking to them and getting advice from them sometimes just is the extra step they needed. You know, um,
Yeah.
Whether it's leaving such situation or, extending an olive branch to somebody, just
Right.
being there and listening actually is a big help.
hmm That does. It relates again because yeah, everything. You're right. Hannah and I talk about that all the time. Yeah, we're not doctors. We're not licensed therapists. However, if you came to us and spoken to us, we may connect on some level. You may pick up some advice. You may be able to say, "Oh, wow, I could totally relate with you." And it does. It helps. So spiritually, whether it be tarot cards, oracle cards, whether it be tea leaf readings, whatever it may be, it's going to give you a little bit of guidance, some sort of intuition. And again, yeah, it's not immediate results. These things that we see, they may come true 10 years down the road, or they may appear 10 minutes later. That we don't know. All we could do is give you a reading, give you the situation and on how it applies and what we feel. And like you had said, it's you allow other people to look and what do you see? Which is very different from how most people, work, whether it be tea leaves or even tarot cards. I never even thought of turning a tarot card around and saying, what do you interpret? So that's interesting because now you're giving people a look into their own lives and maybe that can help the reading. That's very interesting. And I like that idea.
It also just helps them in general. Like, if you think about it, taking control of your life or taking control of certain situations. So, like, people that come to tarot readers, to oracle, to tea leaf reading, to any type of reading, they want answers. They're looking for something. They're in a vulnerable state. Um, so sometimes just sitting there and listening to them when they're done having that reading, really helps them. And also when they tell you what they see in the cup, it really helps them feel like they have some type of control or, you know, have a good stance on where to go from there. And it helps them in a way, and it's really hard to explain because every situation and every reading is different, but it gives them a sense of self, I would say,
Mhm.
in a way.
Right. Yeah, I like that idea, and that's really good. And this is why I like to promote you as well. I think you have a very great idea and a very good aura about you where, yeah, I think some of your readings would be able to help people. So again, Tea Leaf Readings in the Valley on Facebook, very easy to find. So definitely go ahead and check her out. Jen, I do appreciate you coming on the show, being a co-host with me because I know it's been a big change for me and I'm changing up formats almost every day. But and I also appreciate the fact that you were able to listen to my quickie podcast and get something out of it. That's what I'm always hoping because that's exactly what we're hoping when it comes to whether it be our clients or whatnot.
Oh, it always gets my brain turning. Anytime I see something like that, it just gets my brain turning. Like I thought about it actually like from when I've seen it till now, and I'm just like that word no just has like such a big meaning for a lot of people. And I think it really it really applies to women, but I know guys too. I mean, because I'm not saying that guys aren't people pleasers, but I know by nature that women are people pleasers. And I think that letting them know, just women in general, like it's okay to say no. And I know that sometimes that word no has like that connotation of being negative, but there's another thing. Have you ever heard the saying no means no?
Absolutely. Yep.
So, and that's another part where my brain went, and the stories I've seen lately just on Facebook where women feel like they can't tell guys no about their number. And I think that it should just be standard when someone shows you body language that they're not interested, they say no, like really just go with it. Just say okay. But it seems like lately I've seen a lot of women posting of guys just not taking no for an answer, like getting phone numbers, taking them out. I mean, I've seen a lot of that recently. So when I saw that no, I was just like, that's kind of where my brain went also. And I was like, that's a horrible thing for that to just one word to make your
No.
brain go into that direction. I'm like, ugh,
Yeah.
I don't
And I,
want that.
and I do find it funny too, like no means no. It's very difficult to sit here and comprehend the fact that there needs to be an explanation behind it. No is
Right.
no. It's very weird to me that we actually have to explain it, and spell it out for such a very simple two-letter word. It's really odd. And this is where we are as humanity, unfortunately, where we should be well more advanced, into that, where we don't, once we hear the word no, that's it. It should be end of sentence, done. A simple thank you anyway, and walk away. It's very simple.
Yeah, I mean, I think, and I'm not sure if everyone feels this way, but when I've heard the word no and it was really something I wanted to do or had my heart like just really set on it, I kind of felt in a way that they weren't saying no to that, they were saying no to me, like in a rejection kind of way, like I was just no good or um, you know, I don't like you. You know what I mean? And I know that sounds kind of nutty, right? I
I mean,
mean,
I mean, to me, it don't. Maybe to others, it does. But I
but
get where you're coming from with that.
I get why some people take that offensively, like especially like in a work setting,
Hmm.
especially in work setting when you have like really good ideas and you present them and you've worked really hard on it and you were like, this is gonna be a go, like this is gonna be a definite yes. And then everyone kind of like, does their little talking thing and they turn around and they're like, no, the idea is kind of interesting, but I don't see it working out. It can always like that's big no and it can
It's
be kind of
rejection.
yeah.
That's what
And I know
you're being rejected, and it removes a lot of confidence from you, you
it
know.
does.
So I think that's why too. It's hard to accept no at times.
Yeah.
We need to be better though, we need to prove
Right.
our point as far as, the workplace and our ideas and all. Nothing wrong with not giving up. No
I,
shouldn't be an end all be all at times, depending on the situation. No sometimes encourages you to move forward and get better and better yourself.
yeah.
So yeah, so no can take on two different meanings then.
Right. And um I think the whole no with like feeling rejected, I think that's why people in society want that reason as to why people are saying no. So they can actually kind of recover that rejection feeling So I can't fault people for wanting explanations, but sometimes when you're the person saying no, you feel like that should just be enough. I should not have to explain it. And I can see both sides with the rejection part of it and wanting the explanation, maybe to better myself, but also just to reassure myself in a way that it's not it's not a personal thing. It's more that I just, didn't really hit the mark on,
Mm.
it could be better in a way.
Right. And I'll give you another little analogy. When I met you, and we were at that festival, vendor event, uh, you were not the only person I approached. I approached many different people, and I was getting either a yes or I was getting a no. Or I didn't approach some people just because I felt it was going to be a no. So I
Oh.
did make contact with some people, and it was a good, context. Some of them were flat out, no, I don't want to do your show, or I'll think about it. And, and then I had you. It does boil down really to energies. And I told you this, when I talked to you about doing this episode with me. I said, we
Mhm.
had a connection anyway. So you feel that connection. That's where I think the no or the yes is going to come into play depending on what's being asked. Like if I was asking you, hey, listen, after this episode, I need you to help move my entire house down, you may give me a no on that, you know? So it'll be
Oh,
a
that's
yes and a no.
definitely going to be a hell no.
Right, right. You see, and that's even though that's rejection at the same time, you can understand that because there's a connection. Like we're not, you know, complete strangers. We kind of, mesh energy wise. And that's big to me. Many people don't realize the differences in energies, but yeah, that's how we connected. We connected, and it was just a matter of me asking, would you like to come on an episode, with me and promote yourself? And that's all it was. And so, yeah, did I get a lot of no's? I did. Whether it was because they were not confident enough or whether they just didn't trust me, it didn't matter. I didn't take it as rejection. I just kept walking around, kept asking until I had enough people that I knew was going to be good. There were actually some people that said yes. And then further conversation, I was like, I'm not feeling the energy. So I gave them a no. And that happens too.
That is true. You saying that like it didn't bother you. Like my husband, I asked him, I was like, how do you feel when people say no to you? He's like, it's a no, and I just move on. And I'm like, you don't feel you know, like when you have to say no, do you feel guilty about it? And he's like, not really. Not really at all. When I say no, I don't have I don't want to do it.
Mhm.
And I'm like, when I say no, I get this big guilty feeling, like just a knot. Like I'm like, should I have said yes and just seen where it went?
Mhm.
And I have to wonder if it's like a guy and a male and female thing, like do guys feel guilty about saying no to certain situations?
It could be. It all depends on the ego, really. I don't think there's much of a difference between male and female. Our egos, regardless of, whom we are, that can get in the way. And depending how focused on our ego, that no could be a rejection. So some people will just see it as a no, and that's all it is, and it does not affect them in any way. But again, I don't think it has anything to do with your sex. It has to do more with the ego. And that's really what it is. And maybe maybe the ego affects men more because I think society wise, that's the way it was. And that's the way people are raised sometimes. Um, but I don't know. And the difficult thing is I can only answer from the standpoint of a man. So
Right.
again, but I use ego for everything for anybody because we all are kind of one in that sense.
I think if you don't feel bad about it, I think you have a really good like a balance. Like you're very aware. And that goes with the like ego thing, like you were saying, like, because for me, like, this is how I think of ego. I don't think it's inherently bad, but I think that you need to have self-awareness and humility to be able to balance that out to maintain a pretty much your self awareness and just be in the middle. And I think if you're like the mega and like the little, like I would say, but like just the little ego, I think those bring out really negative traits in people. So like with you say rejection, that'd be like something like a little ego. They would take that very personal as rejection. Mega ego, they'd probably take it as a mega rejection too. And they'd probably take it further though, like an obnoxious type of way, if that makes any sense.
Makes tons of
Like I have a
sense to
scale.
me. Yeah, it makes tons of sense to me. So, Jen, again, I want to thank you. I think,
Oh, thank you.
yeah, for sure. And
This
listen,
was fun.
everybody out there, do not forget Tea Leaf Readings in the Valley. Go visit the Facebook page, see where Jen's going to be next, see what she has to offer, and definitely check her out. And while you're at it too, don't forget to check out my great friend. I'm so glad to bring her back, another Jen from Mind's Eye Metaphysical. She's my spiritual guide in life, and she has all things metaphysical. Visit her shop, 19 Railroad Avenue in Marietta, Pennsylvania. And if you cannot visit her shop, then visit her website at mindseyemetaphysical.com. And again, I thank everybody for tuning in. And again, I thank you for joining me for, in all the different changes and formats until I get Hannah back with me and things can go back to normal. So again, thank you very much. And we look forward to having you join us on the next show. And thank you again, Jen. Take care.
Oh, thanks. You too.